Welcome back. I'm Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are breaking down the Cleveland Browns 3-round mock draft and the players that we selected for the Browns. But before we do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified whenever we create new Browns content. We have multiple 3-round and 7-round mock drafts and individual drafts leading up all the way to the 2024 NFL draft in April, and we have a bunch of Browns content. So be sure to like and subscribe and help us reach our goal of 3,000 subscribers by the end of the postseason. So, Ryan, let's pull this up here. Started off, Browns only have 2 picks in the first. I would say 100 picks. That's the first 3 rounds. So, thanks to Deshaun Watson, so their first round pick essentially going to a quarterback. So here, I feel like there's a lot of different rounds. I need to sit back and think a little bit more like what are some of the major needs for the Browns, because they were so injured that it was, and yet they did so much. And so,
Yeah.
I think here we were talking they can maybe improve a little bit, get a little bit younger in the deep secondary and in the safety position. So end up going with Javon Bullard here, but I think there's a lot of different ways they could go. I really do also like Jalen Polk there. Have him on the outside of Elijah Moore. I think he can kind of resemble Elijah Moore a little bit. I think that he can kind of build off of that as well. And be someone that Deshaun Watson can rely on. But also then, too, this could be a sneaky position where the first running back comes off the board. Blake Corum was the first running back off the board in our draft, but I think that he has a kind of similar, I would say, running style, I would say, to Nick Chubb. It might be a smooth transition whenever that time comes.
Yeah, and especially with Nick Chubb coming off a knee injury, I think investing in a running back at this point does make a good bit of sense, because you never know, especially somebody, I think Nick Chubb is 26 or 27, got a lot of hard miles on those legs after suffering a severe knee injury in college, and now another one in the NFL. Yeah, that's actually a couple in college. And so I know it's hard because there's a sentimental value there with Nick Chubb, but getting a guy like Blake Corum would be good. Javon Bullard, great safety out of Georgia. People might remember that name. He was the one that laid the hit on Marvin Harrison Jr. In the college football playoffs last year. But really rangy safety. He's really good sideline to sideline. I think with the way the Browns like to play, I think he would be fine in a single high system where you could be in cover 1, cover 3, and kind of be a good rotator there. He comes down, he plays the run well. Just all in all, a really good safety prospect that I think the Browns would be really happy to have. So let's move on now to their second pick. And this is actually where we do have the Browns addressing the running back position. Here at 85, Jonathan Brooks, he does fall. He would be up there with Blake Corum. However, he did tear his ACL in, I believe, the college football playoff.
It was in November. It was before that.
Oh, was it in the Big 12 championship?
No, it was still before that. I think it was around Thanksgiving. Or it was before Thanksgiving.
Okay. But no, again, just another really explosive running back. Again, he would be up there with Blake Corum if it were not for a torn ACL. Just getting really good value here. I will say Nick Chubb is a good pass catcher out of the backfield. Jonathan Brooks is probably a better pass catcher out of the backfield right now. He's not quite the downhill runner of Nick Chubb, but Jonathan Brooks is definitely more versatile in the passing game there as well.
He is the best running back in this class. The reason why he fell was because of his ACL injury, and so how that would affect him. It's also then too, there's a lot of tape now on Blake Corum. There's a lot of tape now also on Trey Benson. Also, Jonathan Brooks, there wasn't nearly as much because then sitting before him was Bijan Robinson and then Roschon Johnson last year. So he had 9 great games at Texas. And so I think he is the number 1 running back in this class, but he is going to fall just because of coming off that ACL injury. How are teams going to really look at him? So I think some other options though as well, if they want to go running back here, Ray Davis, and then also then too, I think Zach Zinter, I think would be a good one, another injury guy. But I think that the product that you saw on the field, if he can come back, he might not be. Or he probably still will be there. He might still be there in the 4th, 5th round. Kind of depends on how teams and how his evaluations go. But I think there's a lot of good options here for this Cleveland Brown team to kind of keep improving and adding good young depth.
Yeah, definitely. So let's just do a quick recap here of the Browns. So getting at the 54th pick, Javon Bullard, versatile safety out of Georgia, and then Jonathan Brooks, a really solid running back out of Texas, who is going to probably fall because of his injury history. And I mean, all in all, I'm pretty happy with this one for the Browns. They don't have a first-round pick for, I believe, the third year in a row, thanks to the Deshaun Watson trade. Haven't gotten a lot back from that trade, to be honest. But
we got a great Joe Flacco, miniseries.
Yeah, exactly. And so that for me, I think when you look at with the draft capital that they have, I do think that they are going to just have to kind of make the best picks possible. And adding to this defense and adding to that backfield, I think is going to be about as good as they can do, especially I think at the top of this draft is where you're going to see a lot of the top wide receivers go. And then also, if you look at the running backs, that's kind of the sweet spot there in the late second, early third round. And yeah, tackles, they have a couple good tackles. Tackle depth after the top 50 kind of drops off a little bit. And then I think we'll see that position get taken a lot more in the fourth round, like kind of at the beginning of day 3. So again, going with Javon Bullard, Jonathan Brooks. Tyler, what are your final thoughts here?
I think that this team there's some key free agents that they have to get back, and this whole team was built around the trenches, both offensive line and defensive line, and even then too, with all the injuries that they had on the offensive line, they were still one of the better offensive units in the league last year. So they got to get healthy in those areas. They can get healthy in those areas, even though they don't have a first round. There's still a lot of good talent that they can go and get that second, third, fourth round to provide some good depth. Even right there, get Javon Bullard, a guy that could potentially be a starter toward the end of his rookie year or even at the beginning of his second year. And then to help him out with Greg Newsome and then Denzel Ward as well, who, as you talked about, like to play that press man cover to be very physical. And then all that behind Myles Garrett in that defensive front. If they get some good young athletic guys back there, this defense could be even more locked down than what it was this past season. Yeah. And so then at the same time as well, I think start building for the future offensively. I hope Nick Chubb comes back and he's able to kind of be a comeback player of the year. Hope this offensive line is able to come back as well. Because on paper, you go down the list, they have everything that you need to be a Super Bowl caliber team. It's just can they put it all together?
Yeah, exactly. So let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of this Browns 3-round mock draft. And they only had a couple picks, but again, Tyler said Deshaun Watson investing that first round pick into a quarterback. Let us know what you would do differently. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.